2 years. 2 long years since Pokemon Scarlet and Violet came out. And honestly, I haven't played it in 2 years. After my initial playthrough, and I made my video talking about how I really didn't enjoy it because it was a broken mess, and how my second playthrough was a bit more fun because I actually knew where I was supposed to go and what I was supposed to do, and tried my best to just avoid crashing the game in all the fun ways I knew how. I decided I'm going to play it again for a third time. Maybe third time will be the charm. It's been 2 years after all. Maybe they fixed stuff. Could I be wrong about Scarlet and Violet? Could this actually be good if all the bugs and glitches were fixed? So I turned it on, and there were gigabytes upon gigabytes of updates that I needed to do. So I was like, okay, well, clearly they're working on it, and I didn't have the DLC, so it wasn't DLC related. So I played through it, and I'll be darned, they did fix a ton of problems. The game did not crash on me once in my entire playthrough. And considering that it crashed on me like I don't know, I lost count how many times it crashed on me in my first two playthroughs. That already is a huge improvement. And I didn't encounter anywhere near as many bugs and glitches as I did my first two playthroughs. There's still issues. There's still frame rate issues. I still came across the odd bug or glitch or lighting issue or stuff like that. But for the most part, it's way more stable. Like it's actually playable now. So that's nice. Credit where credit is due. And I had a lot more fun playing the game. Big shock. When the game actually works, I have fun playing it. Now, this leads me to an interesting thing because I said way back in the day that even if all the bugs and glitches weren't there, that these would still be the worst Pokemon games I've ever played, at least in terms of the mainline series. And now that most of the bugs and glitches are fixed, or at least to the point where it's way more playable, does that still reign true? Well, I will tell you, after playing for the third time through on a much better game, a much more patched, fixed game, I can tell you I was 100% correct. Yes, I still think Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are the worst Pokemon games. And here's why. I mean, I've already explained in my previous games, but I mean, videos, but it deserves repeating. The reason I consider these to be the worst, despite having, good story, good characters, is that this game is at odds with itself. It's an open world game that was not designed to be an open world game. First of all, nothing scales. So the game is insanely linear. Like if you don't do things in the correct order, you are going to be over leveled because that's what happened to me on this playthrough. My first playthrough and my third playthrough, I was over leveled because after the first gym, which they pretty much tell you where it is and where the first Titan is, you don't excuse me. It's kind of hard to know where to go, and it's very easy to accidentally go off the beaten path. I mean, first of all, the first gym is like on one side of the school where you start, and the first Titan is on the other side. So they're on completely opposite sides of where you're supposed to go. So that's just bad design right there. Because I actually decided to do a lot of stuff on this one side of the map, but since the stuff you're supposed to do in order is all over the place, you can easily go outside of what you're supposed to do and just be over leveled. And I was over leveled for the entirety of the playthrough because I basically was on level for a lot of the stuff that I wasn't supposed to do. And then when I went back to the stuff I was supposed to do in the right order, I was like 10 levels over what it should be. And I was like, well, this is disappointing. It's like I'm just steamrolling everything now. When I am on level, it's fun. But since I wasn't on level for most of the game, it didn't work. Only on my second playthrough did I know where to go because I started my second playthrough right after the first. And that's the only time I was ever on level. And since the experience share is mandatory, your entire party is going to get over leveled. I don't have a problem with the experience share because in games like Sword and Shield, it was balanced around it, but this game is not. And I know people complain about Sword and Shield being insanely linear, and they say that, and people act like linearity is the devil. But clearly, Game Freak does not know how to program a game outside of extreme linearity, and this game proves it. I mean, I played through Sword and Shield a ton of times, and in all of my playthroughs, I can't remember one time where I was over leveled. Because you really would have to go up and try to be over leveled. You would have to stop and fight a ton of wild Pokemon or use a ton of experience candies to get over leveled because of how linear it is. It's impossible to go off the beaten path. And I don't think that's a bad thing because that's how the game was designed. This game, however, it was not designed that way, and so I always ended up being over leveled. I don't feel like I should have to look up where I'm supposed to go all the time to just stay on level. And even then, even if you know where to go, it basically means you can't do the one thing you're supposed to do in an open world game, and that's explore. Because everything you do, whether it's battling wild Pokemon, catching wild Pokemon, it all gets you experience. So what are you supposed to do? Just walk around and do nothing? Like, that's not what you're supposed to do in an open world Pokemon game. You're supposed to be battling Pokemon and catching Pokemon and stuff. So yeah, this game is just poorly designed. They really should have, and it's not that hard to scale, levels. I've seen other open world games. I've been playing a lot of them because it's just the big thing right now. And while none of the open world games I've played have been perfectly balanced, they are way more balanced than Scarlet and Violet. Heck, even Breath of the Wild and stuff, other Nintendo games are better than this. They at least thought about it. It seems like Pokemon didn't even think about it. Not to mention, it's not even truly an open world game. An open world game allows you to go wherever you want, whenever you want, but in this game, you can't even do that because you have to beat the Titan Pokemon to unlock abilities for your riding Pokemon, like the ability to climb walls, go over water, jump higher, basically meaning that a good chunk of the map is not accessible to you. And I'm like, why bother? The game's not balanced anyway. Why are you restricting us when you can still do a lot of stuff out of order, even in the very beginning? Like, why'd you even bother? You might as well let us go anywhere. I mean, people did in the beginning. They could use glitches and stuff, but you get my point. So yes, I do still believe that these are the worst Pokemon games from a design perspective. It may have some of the best story elements and really good character design, and the open world, walking around open world might be fun, but it wasn't executed properly. Maybe one day they'll be able to get it down pat, who knows? But right now they're clearly not there. Maybe if they had more time, but I don't know. That's what I've always said though. There's some things you just can't patch out or fix with simple patches. The entire game's design and foundation was flawed from the very beginning. But hopefully they finish it. Like I said, credit where credit is due. They did fix a lot of stuff. The game is way more playable now. It was fun. I had fun playing this game. And I actually think right now I can put this game on my ever-growing list of guilty pleasures because I actually enjoy playing it now. I started a fourth playthrough after this third one because, well, now I know where to go. So maybe now my fourth playthrough when I'm on level will actually be fun. I mean, more fun, I should say, because I won't be supremely over leveled. But like I said, even with that, I hate that you can't just enjoy the world and explore the world because you're afraid of getting over leveled and stuff. Like I purposely skip trainer battles and stuff because I don't want to get over leveled. And I don't think that's what you should be doing in any game. You should not be skipping the game in order to stay on level. Pokemon just needs to get better at balancing. But yeah, I will say it's better now. For once, I don't regret buying this game. For the first time, I felt like, yeah, you know what? I mean, they shouldn't have charged $60 for it. They shouldn't have released two versions of the same game. That's still a scam, and they should never have released this game in the state that it was in. That's still inexcusable, and the game is still not where it should be. It's still probably one of the weaker technical level Pokemon games out there. It might be a toss up between this and like Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and maybe Sword and Shield a little bit. But yeah, it's from the highest grossing company in the world. This is not acceptable still. It's still not there. Hopefully this taught them a lesson because this game irrefutably damaged Pokemon's brand. And I think they know that. Despite the game selling millions and being one of the best selling Pokemon games ever, it's also one of the most divisive and most hated. So it's not, I wouldn't call that a win. And this year we didn't get a Pokemon game, which is perfectly fine. We're getting Legends ZA next year. I'm looking forward to that. That looks like it could be good, but we'll see. We haven't really seen anything from it, which to me makes me be hopeful that they're taking their time. And whenever Gen 10 comes out, whatever it may be, hopefully it will be good, because, well, it can't get any worse. Actually, I should not say that. I said that about Sword and Shield and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I should not say that because every time I do, I'm proven wrong. But I think they are finally starting to realize that they just can't do this. Even if it brings them a ton of money and Pokemon's too big to fail, you got a reputation to think about, It's not going to last forever. But yeah, Pokemon Scarlet Violet, not unplayable anymore. I actually enjoy it. I guess this is what you call character development. Still the worst games in the series, in my opinion, at least mainline, but it's better, you know? I'm glad I gave it a third chance. Third time was the charm, you know? Imagine if this game had released 2 years after it was going to, and it actually released in a playable state. Oh well, for the future. And that's the one I bought. I bought Violet, so for the future. Don't look at the past. Don't look at Scarlet. Look to the future. Learn the lessons that you have in the present. Look toward the future, and hopefully Pokemon gets into a better state than it was when this game released. So, but what do you think? Have you played this game recently? I don't. I'm pretty sure these patches came out before the 2 year mark. So, was it a year after it came out? Did this happen when the DLC came out? I don't know. I did not pay attention to this game afterward. After I played for the second time, I just dropped it. But let me know your opinions on it, and I'll see you next time.